All right, we should be live. Let me know if you can see me and hear me okay. Arga, good to have you here. Got the chat box going. I see Sam is here. All right, I think we'll wait just a minute or two. See if a few more people roll in. We got 5 viewers right now. What we're going to do today is Puzzle Rush Survival as a group. So I'm going to kind of wait for the chat to throw out some answers before I just play a move. And we can solve them together. Should probably show the score, huh? Okay, that's pretty good. All right. So we got 5 viewers, 1 like. Please hit the like button. It'll help boost our YouTube ratings, hopefully. All right, I think we should get started. So the first like 10 puzzles or so, usually they're checkmate in 1 or checkmate in 2. So I'm going to go through about the first 10 pretty quickly and just kind of show the checkmate ideas. So this knight guards c7. Back rank mate is going to be the theme. And after we check with the queen, the black queen is going to take our queen, and then we'll take back with the rook for checkmate. So that's 1. Now here again, we see 3 pawns in front of the king. Very common theme in the puzzles. We can take this rook on the back rank. They will block, and then we take again, and that's back rank checkmate. So look at this again. 3 pawns in front of the king. Back rank checkmate. Now this one, if you look at the black king, there's no legal moves for him. This is guarded by our pawn. These 2 are guarded by the rook. This is guarded by pawn and rook. So all we need to do pretty much is check the king, keep all the squares covered, and there's one move to do that. Rook there, checkmate. All right, now this one again, we're going to want to look for checks. I see 3 potential checks. E3 loses the queen, so that's not good. Checking on G5, not a big deal. But taking on C2 is guarded by our rook, so that's going to be checkmate. All right, this is the first one. Let's poll the chat. All right, what do you guys think the answer is here? It's black to move. Our pawn is going up the board. Put your answer in the chat. What do you think? And let me know how much delay there is too. If you type something in the chat, I'm curious to know how long does it take to show up on stream. Look for the check. Rook f6 check. Yeah, so we're going to check. White takes. We take. And it doesn't matter where the white king moves. Like let's say here. We're going to go get this pawn. And the white king cannot quite box us in on the h-file. So that's an important point. 5-second delay. Okay. So then our pawn will run. And I think I have it set up to be essentially no delay. So 5 seconds isn't too bad. All right, this one, I think it's an easier one. We can take f2 check. King moves. And then we got the back rank mate. Queen check, rook takes mate. So it's the only check on the first move. That's awesome, Andy. We're down a lot of material there, but we got the checkmate. All right, we need help from the chat again. What is going on here? We each have a queen, we each have 2 rooks, we each have a minor piece. 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Material is exactly even. So what do we do here? I'm assuming you mean the back rank checkmate, Andy? Like the sack the queen, they take, and then take with their rook? Oh, we got to get the dog cam going. Let me see if I can just angle this a little bit. Or a lot. The F2 one, yeah. So what do we do here? The only checks are F7 and G7, both of them lose the queen. Argus says knight E7 check. Yeah, so I don't see any checkmates. Knight E7 check is a fork, and we're going to win the rook in the end, and there's no immediate threats for black. Andy's saying rook G1. Rook G1 threatens the checkmate, but there is rook takes our queen. So yeah, I think this one it's a material gain instead of a checkmate. So now we take the rook, and that's a clean rook. Oh, this one's good. All right, what do you guys think? I'll be back in 30 seconds. I made some coffee to make sure that we can get 60 on Puzzle Rush. I'll be back in 30 seconds. So put your answers in the chat. Knight takes A2 checkmate. Yes. Bishop cuts off the king. Knight takes as a checkmate. All right. Black is about to queen. C1 equals queen. What should we do here? It looks like almost a back rank, but the king does have an escape route. So we got to go a little bit deeper. So if you're giving a move, like let's say you think queen d8, give me a couple moves in a row. Can you lead me to either the checkmate or the winning of material? Jake, are you still watching in the live chat? Okay, rook takes h5, c1 queen, king h2, And I think queen f4 check. After g3, queen takes f2 is mate. So if we want to be more direct. Yeah, Arga and Sam got it. So Arga's line has it all the way to checkmate. Queen d8 check, forced move king h7. Rook takes pawn, forced move king g6, and queen g5 for the mate. Nice job. Okay, I'm going to do one on my own now. Queen takes check, 2 king moves, and queen takes g7 is mate. All right. What do you guys think on this one? I see 2 checks. Both of them appear to lose the bishop. Just take the queen. Yeah. So this is going to win a rook in the end. Queen for queen, we won't win the rook. All right, this one we've seen before, so I'm going to show the answer. This rook is guarded by the queen. I think that's why this puzzle's 700 or 800. Some players probably take the rook. Is it the exact same one? It looks almost the same. I think the other one, the rook was guarded down the e file, if I remember right. Oh man, another one? Okay. Oh, here we go. All right, down a pawn. Bishop cuts off. So these are sometimes tricky. Like rook g2 looks to be the obvious move, but give me the full sequence. If rook g2, what's the follow-up? Same one all the time. I mean, if the puzzle's in there twice, they could, in theory, have different ratings. Just based on how players do on them. I'm going to post in Discord, see if I can get a few more people to join us. But let me know if you see the full solution on this. Rook g2, king h1, rook takes g3, rook f3, bishop takes f3, mate. Very nice, Andy. That's what I was thinking. So we want to keep the rook on the g file, and the bishop delivers the mate. Okay, this one's pretty straightforward. So I'm going to check, check, and mate. All looks forced. I'm waiting for the puzzle I say is straightforward, and then I blunder it. All right, this one. There's this check, king over, and mate. I don't see anything quicker than mate in 2. All right, here's a different type of puzzle. What do you guys think in the chat? So what do we think the answer is here? The black king is cut off. There's no king g8. We're down a rook. Andy, do you have the answer? I see 4 checks available. Andy said struggling. Arga, knight g6 check. That's correct. So this is one of those themes where you have the king trapped in the corner and you want to open up the H file and deliver the mate with a heavy piece, queen or rook. So here we see knight g6 check, pawn takes. That opens up the H file. That's right, Sam. And then queen to h3 delivers the mate. Oh, I didn't notice that, but that's the theme that we take and there's no way to block. All right, this one looks like a checkmate in a couple moves. I'm going to play this one out. So we got check, king here, check, king here. And since our king guards this rook, rook h1 mate. All right, what do you guys think on this one? So on this one, we are up one pawn. Queen's being attacked. And we do have to be a bit careful because rook and queen both hit f2. There's a couple moves that look like possible answers here. I think the obvious question is, can we get away with this? Yeah, Andy, I'm glad you said with check. And Arga, you as well. Queen takes e5 is with check. So that means black just has to trade queens. We're up the full knight and there's no back rank issues. Oh, I like this puzzle. All right, we're down a lot. We're down a bishop and pawn. What do we want to do here? There's only two checks. Neither of them look very good. Rook e1. Nice move. So it threatens mate, and if they take, we take with queen mate, and there's no way to guard the rook. And there's no strong attack for white either. Look at that. Sacrifice the queen. Okay, what do you guys think? We are down 2 pawns. I see 3 checks. This king is trapped. The knight's completely out of the game. So I'm looking for checkmate. All right, I don't see any answers yet. Maybe what I should do is give you guys a time limit. Like, oh, we can have 30 seconds. Sam sees it. Sam, go ahead, say the answer. It's looking like a mate and 2 to me. Yeah, look at this. Rook takes a4, they take back, and that opens up rook b5 checkmate. So just our rook and bishop mate the king with the help of these 2 pieces. Yeah, wasn't that a nice one, Andy? Rook b5 follows. Okay, we're down a queen. 2 queens to 1. There's only 2 checks. Yeah, that was a cool puzzle. There's only 2 checks. Taking f3, I think rook takes back. So the critical line has to be queen takes c2. Yeah, so if the king moves to any of these squares, we have queen h2 mate. The rook block doesn't help. Oh wow, this one looks nice. This is the point where I just guessed queen takes c2. Yeah, it's like the only move that could be right. You just got to make it work. Which, to be fair, I mean, if you're playing a game, you're going to just play queen takes c2. You're down a full queen plus some material, I think. This one feels like a real game scenario. I mean, these are all based on real games for the most part. But this one feels like something you would get in a game. Yeah, Sam, I think you're right. Queen d5 check. This queen is loose. If the queen blocks, we win the bishop. And if takes, rook takes, we're forking the bishops. And I think the way you know this is winning is because the bishops can't grab a free pawn, and we're already up a pawn. So it's going to be rook and pawn for bishop. Okay, so material, we are down 2 pawns. I only see 1 check on the board. This rook looks loose, but our queen is also guarding this rook. Well, I'm blocking the ratings. So we just did 1339 was the last puzzle. Am I blocking the score as well? Oh, okay. That's the key, Andy. Taking the rook hits the other rook. So if queen takes c8, we move the king. We're double attacking. Queen and rook. Oh, sorry, I went deeper. Yeah, that's right though. Sam's got it. So Andy, if you go a little deeper in that line, you see the double attack after king g7. So take. And there's no, a key point is there's no way for that queen to guard that rook. Right, she would have to be on this diagonal or be able to get back to h3, which is blocked. So then rook and queen were both attacked. All right, what do you think on this one? We're down, looks like we sacked a piece for 2 pawns. We're down 1 point. I see a few checks with the queen. None of them look good though. Knight g4. That's the first move that came to mind outside the check. So threatening mate. What if white plays f3, using the queen to guard the knight? So let's say knight here, f3. Knight g4 seems nice. Yeah, but what if I play f3? Sam, that looks nice. I think that's it. So what's happening is this queen is going to be overworked. Knight g4, f3. The queen is guarding this mate, but she's also trying to guard the rook on f1. So we have knight takes h2. And that wins the piece back with other big threats, and the queen cannot take. Oh, I didn't look at this, Sam. What do we do now? Yeah, that's right, Andy. I think we trade queens and then grab the rook. So that's something like, if I'm playing Puzzle Rush, I'll just try to solve the puzzles quickly and build my intuition. But if I'm doing rated puzzles, or even survival for training, I think it's very good to work on your visualization and to see all of those lines in advance. Like, really try hard not to have the computer reply surprise you. So like there, even though it wasn't too hard to see, oh, trade queens and take f1, that's something that I didn't look at before I made the first move. And in a real game, you want to see all those things. Yeah, that's right, Sam. So it was a forcing move. Okay, what do we think on this one? White is up a knight, but we have this pawn that's pretty close to queening. That's exactly right. Puzzle, there's always a win or a draw sometimes, but yeah, there's always the desired result. Yeah, my intuition tells me b2 followed by rook c1. Okay, so let's say b2. Take here, rook c1, push here. Take rook check, king here. What do we do though about this queen? So here, take, here, push. Take. That looks good. Yes, delay promoting the pawn. Oh, do we still want rooks? So, okay, I didn't look at this. Do we still want rook c1, Andy? It looks like it should transpose if they take here. Rook c1, if they take, we take here and then take pawn. I don't see any good squares for their rook. Nice job, Andy. All right, we're up a bishop for 3 pawns. Our rook is completely out of play. But we have this kind of bishop-queen combo. So give me the full sequence. And we have to watch out for the black queen down here, looking for perpetual check. If you see it, give me the full sequence. That's exactly right. After king f8, it's really natural to want to check on g7, but it's bishop to d6 mate. And that's why this puzzle is, I think, 1500 plus, because your eye's not looking for bishop d6. For whatever reason, you kind of want to focus on this g7 square. Nice job. All right, we're up a bishop for 1,000,000 pawns. Oh no, we're down the exchange. And a million pawns. Okay. Type queen g7. What do you guys think? To me, it looks like an overworked queen again. She's trying to guard two things right now. Queen takes d2, queen takes d2, rook takes f1, queen blocks, rook takes mate, guarded by the bishop. Very nice, Andy. So that one wasn't quite mate, but we had rook and bishop for those pawns. Okay, so we are playing white. These always take me a second, and this pawn's going up the board. We're down a pawn. Instinct is rook d5, same here. Because if we push the pawn, this rook gets behind it. And we don't really want our rook guarding from the side. So rook d5, pawn push, and we're going to queen. This rook can always come back. Oh wait, maybe it can't, because they could sack. Okay, so rook d5, pawn push. We push. They push. Queen. Queen. Queen here, check. That'll be winning, because our rook can come to f5 if they come to the f file. If they go to the h file, we win the rook. Yeah, queen g5 in the end. Okay, so rook here, rook takes, pawn push. I recently did a video on something like this. We do have to be careful with this pawn coming so quickly, but I think we can stop it. King here. King up. Rook behind, and if the pawn pushes again, we have king over, and if here, we take. Yeah, so our king should be close enough. Here, here, queen. That doesn't seem like a problem to me. And if here, here, queen takes, it just took that rook a lot of extra moves to go get our pawn. Hey, Future Magnus is in the house. Future Magnus, did you see I answered your question on the Q&A video? Okay, this pawn's about to queen. We are up one pawn. I see two checks. What do we want to do here? We also have this idea of bishop here checking the king if he goes to h2. Okay, queen f1 check, king here, bishop e5 check, pawn block. I think you're on the right track, Andy. What do we do after that? I think that's right. Bishop takes e4. allowing the queen. King g7, and this mate looks unstoppable. What a nice puzzle. Did not think of that. Take, check, can go right back. Take, check, could probably block. I mean, we're up material there. Okay, we just sacked a piece for the pawn. We're down 2 minor pieces. There's 4 checks. I mean, if our queen's on g2, that's checkmate. Is it that simple? Queen g6 check, coming to g2. Yeah, so this puzzle is 1700. I wonder if it's because there's just multiple checks and one's a capture. But to me, this looks really straightforward. Unless there's a quicker mate, but I don't see it. All right, 1700. 2 rooks and 2 pawns for a queen. This rook is hanging. The only check is knight f2. But I don't see a good follow-up after the king moves. We will take it. Yeah, is this just another easy one? Take, take, move the king. These are forked. I think so. I don't see any way to threaten a mate. All right, they're getting easier, guys. 1800. Maybe these will be even easier than 1700. Got some checks on this diagonal. Bishop or queen. We are down a rook for bishop and pawn. And our king is really exposed. This would lose the queen. F1 is guarded, so any diagonal check, the king has to come over this way. Keep checking and hope for the best. In a blitz game, yeah. In a blitz game, yes. Check and hope for the best. So if queen here, check. I think the problem is king here. No follow-up. So I like bishop check. If the king comes this way, we take the pawn with check. And if the king goes on the back rank here, then we check on the back rank, trying to come to g1 if king h2. So I think we want this combo of bishop here and then like the queen ready to check on the back rank and come to g1 mate. Yeah, bishop f2 check. Okay, this one, rook on f7 pinned. What do we want to do? The checks, I'll drop our queen. So I think the rook f1 is kind of the obvious move, and rook here, but then what's the follow-up? It did fork the rook, Andy. I was thinking it was mate, though. Bishop f2. I don't know if I can open that in a new tab or not. Doesn't look like it. Bishop f2, king h2, queen takes pawn, king back, queen c1 check, king h2. Yeah, I think we're mating. It does. You could win the rook, but I think we're mating with queen g1. Oh, Sam's got an answer. Rook f1, rook f8, rook takes, rook, other rook to f1. Yes, that looks like it. So a lot of times when you have these like pinned pieces and you're attacking it multiple times, this is exactly what you do. You might have to trade a piece, trade a rook, get the other rook to attack it. But then in the end, there was no good way for black to defend. Okay, white's got this threat. We have an extra bishop. And we have our own threat on g2. This is one of those ones where you have to calculate, like, can you survive by just playing queen a3? Or is there something better? Like, if we take pawn, queen takes, queen here, there's actually like a perpet back and forth. Queen back to f8, I don't think we're winning there. So we have to calculate, is this the answer? Can we survive it? The white checks. Yeah, Sam. That's like Andy's technique from earlier. Process of elimination. We just play here and hope it works. Okay, let's solve it. Here, here, here. Check. Here. Take. Now, we want to avoid the checks. It's got to be here. Only one good check. Here. Only two checks, h7 or g7. And then come down here. That's it. We're going to hide on c8. The king route goes like this. Yeah, avoid d6. That's right. Oh, I think I've seen this puzzle before. We have to be careful not to lose. Do you guys know the trebuchet position from Silman's endgame course? That's where the pawns are locked up like this and the kings are trying to attack them from the sides. So let's say we take, king takes, king here. This pawn's attacked, the king has to come to g6. If you ignore these h-pawns, that's a win for black, because our king has to give up control of the pawn and then they take and win. But there's a little difference here. We got the h-pawns. So this to me looks all forced. And we move, yep, h4 in the end. That should get us the win. So the cool thing with the endgame positions is like you can take the endgame knowledge of this scenario. That's like your building block, that's your starting point, and then you add the h-pawns to figure out how to convert the win. That's right, Arga, so we get the tempo. Alright, even material, this one's like straight out of an opening. First thing I notice is this queen is low on squares. So now our puzzle rating is, this is going to be in the 2000s. We're going to start to see some queen traps sprinkled in these puzzles. And this definitely feels like a queen trap. So let me know what you think. No, Arga, don't sit back now. You can get some of these, Arga. Yeah, bishop b5. So bishop d5 is nice because knight e5, there's maybe queen all the way back to e8. There's other options for the queen. This only allows one move, and then there's e5 with a fork. And our queen guards the bishop, so none of our pieces are loose. Yeah, so it didn't win the queen, but it was like the, yeah, maybe queen trap isn't the wrong phrase, but the vulnerable queen caused the issue. Okay, now we're down a queen. This does not look good. We're down a lot. Down 7 points. Andy says no checks. I see one check. Pawn check. I don't know if that helps us. Pawn check. I mean, this king is low on squares. I guess he could go to one of these two. Or rook takes. I mean, my gut just tells me it's the pawn check, but what's the follow-up? Oh, I missed it, Arga. Okay, Sam and Arga both saw it. I completely missed it. The queen is hanging. Now I think we move the knight back. Bishop check, king back, hitting the rook. No, I think it's just knight back. Okay, so if we take, there's mate. Okay, I'm going to solve this one, I think. Check, here, take, opens up the rook check. That's actually almost a checkmate. If their queen comes to f2, we take. Yeah, that's right, Andy. Oh, win the rook. Okay, do we win the rook? I think we take here. Yeah, because there's no escape route for the king. That's probably why this one's 2100, because it looks like, oh, I can win the rook. But in terms of material, black is still up. So even though there's no mate, black will take here. Yeah, so we gotta take. Let's see, we're down a knight. Down a minor piece. No immediate threats for black. My instinct was to play this, threatening mate. But after bishop b7, the rook hits our queen. I don't know what the follow-up is there. Queen d5, double attack. What if knight takes d5? Ooh, Sam. Bishop h6, threatening queen d8 mate, and g3, winning the knight. Okay, let's say bishop h6, bishop b7, g3. Bishop takes e4, then what? I think you're close, Sam. think you're really close. I think we need a different move instead of g3. But this looks right. Bishop h6, bishop b7. g3 first. Well, g3 first, we don't have the pin anymore, so I think the knight could move back to e6. Here. Take. King could go to the corner, though, too. This is going to be one of those ones where it stops us a move short. I think queen d6 is the move after the pin. I'm going to try it. Oh, no. I was too quick. It must have been something with bishop f7. Oh, okay. I thought that was it. Okay, queen takes g5 check. That's the obvious move. King cannot go to the h file because rook h3 mate. So if king here, then what? Rook f3 check. I mean, this all looks forced. I feel like that's right. Do you guys agree? Queen takes g5, rook f3. Our queen guards the bishop on c1, so we could always like take the rook for free. But there's probably mate. Sam, you'll take the responsibility. Okay, let's try it. I mean, it's got to be rook f3. Our rook's attacked. Is there any reason to check on the diagonal first? Or check here first? This bishop is pinned, so there's no bishop check coming. It's got to be rook f3. And then this is what I wanted. Check, and if king here, check, winning the rook. Oh wow, it goes really deep. Well, now I think it's just got to be this. What? The 2200 puzzles are killing me. Was that what it needed? Queen h6 check? Alright, from now on I'm not locking in a puzzle until someone says it in the chat. That was bad. I think you're right, Andy. I think it was queen back to h6 at the very end, guarding the bishop. We'll look at it after. We'll go back to those ones we got wrong. Oh, Sam is saying c5. Oh, pawn c5 check, because I think the king was on d6. Oh, that could be it. d2 forces rook a1. So what I'm wondering there is, can we do like a brute force, bring the rook over? d2, rook a1, rook here. if rook here, come to c1. Okay, Andy's locking it in with d2, rook a1 forced, rook c1, king here. Sorry, rook a1. King here, rook c1. Should be good. And we have Andy confirming in the chat, so it's not just me making a blunder. There's no trick here, right? Take. Here, we can get back in time. Sam agrees. This is a cool position. That king is all but trapped. The only move is king e4. But how do we check? So if the king moves right now, we're in check. King d3 is very interesting. What if queen here check? Queen here check. I'm going to try to draw your king away. I like this idea. But how do we make it work? How do we make that work? Rook d7 first. Okay, rook d7. King here, check. If we block with rook, the queen can take. Okay, rook takes f7. King here check. Block with rook. King takes knight. This one's tough. This one's very tough. I was also looking at check and plant the knight here, but the king starts running. Check, king here, counter check. Here, take. And our knight's about to drop. This one's really tough. I don't see it. Do we need to draw their king into a fork? Somehow? I was also wondering if there's a potential perpetual check. Like maybe we can... I was even considering rook c8, if there was a way we could force perpetual. Argo, what is it? It's nice? Oh man. You can post it, Arga. We've been on this one for a while. Rook c8, queen takes, knight c4, king e4, knight d6 check. Oh, wow. Okay, I didn't look at this deep enough. Look at this. Rook c8 takes, knight here check. If the king goes to one of these two squares, we have this fork. And if the king goes to this square, we have this fork. That's so nice. Wow. Nice job, Arga. That was 2349 puzzle. Okay, I really love queen sack puzzles, and the first thing I want to do is take here. Let them take and try to mate, but it doesn't quite seem to work. Black's not really threatening anything. They're threatening the queen, but if the queen moves, I don't see a mate. I mean, rook takes h7 to me looks kind of good. Queen g7? I don't know what you mean, Sam. Yeah, I think rook takes. King takes. Check. King here. Mate. That all looks forced to me. Oh, in the last position after rook c8. That's a good point. Rook c8, queen g7. I wonder if it's king d3 there. Yeah, I don't know, Sam. Because there is, I mean, we're not really threatening a mate, I don't think. That's a good point. Oh, Sam. Can you guys see this the little board? Try to visualize this if you can see the little board. I can't move my mouse. Rook c8, queen g7, knight, or sorry, rook c8, queen g7, rook to g8. The black queen has to take our rook, and then knight g4 check. And it's the same thing but flipped. All three king moves are forks with our knight. That's a really beautiful puzzle, and you don't get to see half of it because the computer doesn't play queen g7. This had to have been like from a study. This is not from a real game. Yeah, rook g8. That's so nice. Okay, I'll have to show that after. Remind me if I forget. So this one I think it's forced. Can someone confirm though? Andy or Sam or Arga? Can we just go rook takes, king takes, queen check, king here, mate? This looks forced. Am I missing anything? The last couple of times I've gone rogue, we've got red X's. Okay, we got confirmation. I mean, I really want this check. But where's the mate? So this check opens up this check. So if takes or takes, there's check, king moves, and mate. Check here, check, back, mate. Do you guys agree? Knight d6 check. Knight d6 check. King here, knight check. Okay. We got Andy's confirmation. We're down one piece. There's a few different checks on the board. Oh, it's almost a checkmate with the queen sack. So again, I'm looking queen sack. Rook takes here, check. If the king goes to f8, there's mate. King goes to d8. It's very close to mate. Check. King here. Check. Queen takes. Check. King here. Check. King here. We're up a rook after all that. Okay, Sam's confirming. Here, here. Check here. Did I miss? Is there something quicker here? Or is that the line we want? Check here. I think in the end we're only up the exchange. Oh no, we still have this knight. Okay, we're up a whole rook. Oh, rook h to d1. Yeah, I didn't factor that in. Okay, this should be good. So rook takes, king takes, rook h to d1. Well, bishop could block. Hey, Titus. Is the audio low quality or the picture? It doesn't look like I'm dropping any frames on OBS. King takes a knight c5 check. Oh. Take, take, check. King back. Bishop block. Picture. Titus, can you try a refresh? Refresh quick and see if it's any better. It's looking good from my end. I see excellent connection and no frames dropped. But maybe others can let us know in the chat too. How does the picture look? 144p. Doesn't seem right. Sam, what resolution is yours playing at? Do you know? Oh, 1080p from Arga. Okay. Titus, it looks like it might be something on your end. Hopefully a refresh can fix it. Or maybe close your browser and come back if you're on the computer. Okay, so we've got everything covered. 1080, 480, 720. I mean, for a chessboard, I think usually 480 is even good enough. Because it's not moving that quickly and you can still see all the pieces. So rook takes d7. I think we're still thinking that this is the answer. If king takes, we could take the bishop too. So I think the critical line is this, which appears to be a mate. Or I think this is good enough. Knight takes, and we're going to be up a whole rook. Knight d6 check, first move. That also looks good. Trade everything, knight f7 check wins the bishop. This knight might hang though. So if we trade everything and win the bishop, In the end, we have a rook and 2 minors, and they have a rook and 2 minors. So I don't think that's enough. If we check first, rook takes, we can win the exchange. Yeah, king on d7. I think it's rook takes rook. Okay, let me know if you confirm. Rook takes rook. Let me know in the chat if you like this. If king takes, I think queen takes here. Because if the queen blocks, then rook d1, we're winning the queen. And if the king goes back, we have mate. So that means after rook takes rook, it's queen takes, and then I want this line check, 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 take, take, king move, check, king over, and we're up a rook. Andy can't stick his neck out. Yeah, who wants to be responsible for the third strike by confirming rook takes d7 and a bunch of just arrows all over the board? This is actually good training. Okay, everyone in the chat, try to visualize that line I just gave. I'll go slower. Okay, so let's picture rook on d1 takes rook on d7. Queen takes queen on b8. Knight takes pawn on f7. Oh, sorry, I gave the wrong line. Rook takes rook. Queen takes queen. Rook e7 check. The king moves over. Now knight takes f7 check. The king moves over. Now knight to d6 check. We could use this knight actually. Queen takes. Knight here check. Our rook is still on e7. If the king goes back or goes here, we're going to win the bishop. So if the king goes this way, we have knight takes with check. If the king goes this way, we have rook takes with check. Oh, it stopped us really short. Okay. Is this rook not just hanging in the corner? We're in 2500 land now. Is this rook not just hanging in the corner? The last one was 2481. I really hope this is just queen takes rook, and then it says correct, and we go to the next one. How is it not queen takes rook? We're not getting mated, right? This is guarded. How is it not queen takes rook? There's like nothing else on the board even vulnerable. I feel like I'm going crazy. Queen takes rook. Is that not just a free rook? Is the queen getting trapped? I don't think so. Oh, maybe she is. Okay, you're right, Titus. You're right. Bishop a2. Thank you, Titus. Andy, bishop a2. So I am going crazy. There is a trap. Okay, so we got to consider that. So the question is, would a puzzle answer be to just do nothing? Like queen e7? Queen anywhere? We're equal. There's got to be something here. It's probably not... Oh, okay. I think I see it. I think I see it. So 2 rooks for the queen. That's okay. I think I see it now. Sam, I think you're right. So, Titus, that's what I wanted to do first. Take here and try to deflect the queen. So, but here's the question. Is it bishop f5 looks to be the way to deflect the queen? Do we start with bishop f5? Or do we start with queen takes rook? Which one? Do we start with queen takes rook? Because here, bishop f5, if they take the queen, we take their queen and we want a whole rook. Okay, so no one wants bishop f5 first. Queen takes rook. Here, bishop f5. Oh, what about queen b3? So I'm not sure which move order. Queen b3, we could go bishop e6. But then there's queen takes e6. So that would win the exchange. Yeah, so win the exchange. And with this line, the best we can hope for is the exchange, but maybe there's something even better for white in this line. Like maybe they can go e4. Probably. Like maybe we only win a pawn. Bishop takes and they move their queen somewhere. a2. I don't know. Oh, queen takes f1 in between move. You're right. That's exactly right. Okay. So someone confirm in the chat. We want this, and bishop f5. Just put yes in the chat if that's what you want. Put no if I need to wait. Because I think that's right. After queen b3, we go bishop e6. And yeah, there's the queen takes. Maybe. There's queen takes f1 in between move. This one's only 2,500. Can't be that tough, right? Is 2 maybes a yes? So, I'll clear the arrows. Queen takes a1, bishop a2, bishop f5. I mean, I think a key point is what Sam said. There's the queen takes f1 check in between move. So at that point, only queen b3 really makes sense to try to keep the queen trapped. And there's bishop e6. And we're going to play queen takes a2 next. So they should go rook takes a1. We take their queen. They take our bishop. And we win the exchange. Bishop f5 first. I still feel like that could be something. It's probably not, though. Oh, bishop f5 first, queen b3. If we take the rook, then bishop takes f5 and our queen is trapped. Bishop f5, what if they go queen e2 or d2? So if queen e2, I think bishop d3, hitting the queen and the rook. If queen d2, I think rook d8, rook a d8. Or yeah, queen e2, there could be queen c3. Right. So the final line, yeah, Titus, 1080p. The final line we're looking at is queen takes rook, bishop a2. Bishop f5, hitting the queen. If queen b3, this bishop drops back to e6. And if queen takes e6, we have queen takes rook check in between move, and then recapture the queen. Yeah, exactly. So Sam, you're right. So if queen takes here, bishop here, bishop here, queen d2, we have rook d8. And if they try queen takes d8, again, we have queen takes f1 check. They take, and then we get the queen. Okay, so do we want to confirm queen takes a1? I think that's right. I'm giving it a yes, but we need one more yes. Can I count that queen takes a8? If a8's down here. So bishop a1, bishop a2. Okay, I'm going rook a d8. That was our plan. There is knight block. Oh, there is knight block. Maybe our plan was wrong. Do we need knight e4? I almost played rook a to d8. I think that's wrong though. I think it might be knight e4. Because knight block really traps our queen in. Okay, do we want knight e4? I was thinking rook a to d8. So that if queen takes, it's not with check. Because if rook here, I think they could try take with check and then win our queen. Yeah, so puzzle logic, if there's two answers that are the same, that's not it. But I think here, rook a to d8 is stronger than rook e. Okay, knight e4, queen back to c2. Then we get queen c3. And I think we're okay now. I think we won the rook. Or like Argus says, yeah, we could go queen back to f6. Yeah, that opens up the whole diagonal, really. So that f6 is available and c3 could be available. All right, knight e4. All that for the exchange. So this is either going to be win the queen or try to checkmate. So I think the line that they want you to look at is here. Queen takes, rook takes, pawn push. If the knight comes back to stop it, we lose our rook. So I think that's kind of the line we got to look at if d2 check. Can they sack their queen and play a7? Which makes me think a move like rook takes c2 might be the better option. Yeah, so rook takes c2, king d1, we have mate. So king b1 is forced. Okay, but now we could go d2. If queen takes, we take with rook and our rook is not being attacked by their king. Knight a3 check is very tempting here too. King b1, knight a3 check, but after king to the corner, I don't know if the knight helps on a3 because I do like the ability for that knight to come back to guard a8. Oh wait, Titus made a good point. Sorry, Titus, I kind of glossed over this at first. Here, take, rook takes, a pawn moves, and we come back and stop the pawn. Maybe that's the hard part to see. Oh, this is tough. So is it just d2 check and bring the rook back? Yeah, Titus, you might be right. Or do we get more out of checking first? So the problem with checking and then going here is we're actually opened up to perpet. That's going to be bad. So really we need to keep checking white. Here, king here, and there's not a lot of checks remaining. Okay, so now I think it's this. I think Titus is right. You have to spot queen takes, rook takes, pawn here, rook d8. We're up a knight. We need someone to confirm though. Is it d2 check? Rook takes d2 and then... Oh, but there could be rook d4. Here, take, rook e4 I mean. Hitting the knight, that's kind of annoying. That's really annoying. The knight guards the rook. I don't like that. I don't know if we're winning that position. Oh, rook d4. Wow. Okay, so the rook can come back. If they take, pawn takes, and if push, knight b6. Yeah. Nice job, Sam. I think that's it. Okay, Argus saying rook here, here, knight d2. What if king to the corner? Because we got to watch out for these queen checks. Okay, it sounds like Sam is confirming this works with rook d4 in the end. I'm going to lock it in. So if we take, we're almost mating, but the queen check forks. So it's got to be knight back. Promote to bishop. Nice. Down a knight. Pawns are even. The white king is exposed. I really would like rook takes g2 to work. Rook takes g2. Wow. Andrew says, rook takes f3, what am I missing? Rook takes h3, what am I missing? Might not be missing anything. Okay, Andy, rook takes h3. Let's say bishop takes bishop. actually wondering if we want to take this first, deflect the knight. Deflecting the knight seems to open up some attacking possibilities, but I don't know if that's worth it. Yeah, the white bishop on f6 guards the h8 square, so it's hard to double and create a mate. I kind of want something with the queen coming to f4. Either queen f4 right away, or bishop takes bishop, knight takes. Something with queen f4 hitting the knight, but the queen on f4 doesn't really threaten anything. Could it be something with trying to open up this bishop, like pawn e5? Pawn e5, bishop takes, knight takes, rook takes h3. Oh. Bishop takes, knight takes, rook takes h3, threatening queen h2. I like the look of that. Yeah. What if the knight goes back to f3? Then what? Pawn d4. The knight goes back to f3. Maybe pawn d4. Yeah, because then the rook takes g2 threat is coming. Sam's saying no. Oh, rook take. Okay. So here's what we're looking at. Bishop takes, knight takes, rook takes h3, knight back, take the knight, queen takes, pawn d4. Now you have bishop and rook both hitting this g2 pawn with the queen on f3. This bishop is gone. That looks pretty dangerous. Okay, am I safe to lock it in? Put a yes in the chat. I think it is bishop takes bishop. We have to draw that f3 knight away. I'm pretty sure. Put a yes or a no or a wait in the chat. Sam with the maybe. This is the third strike. Oh, we're up to 6 viewers now. So for a while we had 3 viewers. If you're just tuning in, we're solving puzzles together. We already have 2 strikes. And we're putting our answers in the YouTube chat. Argus says looks good. All right. Titus says huge numbers. Yeah. Oh, here's Dennis. Dennis is one of the new viewers, I'm pretty sure. Considering we had 3 viewers and 3 people active in our chat. Okay, Dennis, so we're thinking rook takes h3 now, threatening queen h2. And we're thinking knight f3 is the best reply, followed by rook takes f3, queen takes f3, pawn d4, and we have both bishop and rook hitting g2. So rook takes h3. Let's try it. No one has said not to do it yet. Okay, king f1. All right, now this is a little bit different. What do we think here after king f1? Andy says what exactly? What is happening? Never let your opponent's moves surprise you unless they're 2,500, 2,600. Then they can surprise you. You're right though, Andy. I usually like to say if your opponent's move surprises you, you want it to be a surprise in your favor. Like you want it to be just some bad move that you didn't really consider, or that your intuition blocked out because it was so bad. So Sam's saying rook h1 check, then queen e5 winning the knight. I think that's right. I really think that's right. So like here, check, here, take rook, queen takes, win the knight. King is very vulnerable unless there's something more direct. Maybe it's a bad move. Our rook hangs then. Yeah, so if we take the knight right away, the rook hangs. But if check here, and we take the rook first, queen takes, and then we could get the knight. King takes back and the knight blocks. So after this, the king can't take because our queen's here. The only other move I was really looking at was rook here. It doesn't quite seem good enough. Okay, put a yes in the chat. If you want rook h1, put a yes. If you want me to wait, put a no or a wait. If you put maybe in the chat, that's not helpful. Sam says yes. All right, so here rook takes rook, queen takes, or queen check. Yeah, so the line that Titus was looking at, if we take first, queen takes, queen check, the knight comes back to block. So we got to start with the queen check. Now, don't see any benefit to taking here. That drops the rook. There doesn't appear to be enough. But if we take here, queen takes, we take the knight. The king is still very vulnerable, and we're up one pawn. Dennis says only one pawn. Yeah, okay, let's wait. Okay, let me know what move you think here. Maybe there could be more. Only one pawn doesn't feel like enough, but that could be a stockfish eval, like 3-4 pawn advantage. I mean, it looks pretty strong for black, but maybe there's something better. Because yeah, one pawn doesn't seem like enough. I mean, I think we have to move our queen if we don't play rook takes e1. Well, we won the knight, but white has an extra knight right now. Can you force king c2 and then bishop a4 check? So let's say like queen f4. If this rook blocks, they drop the queen. So this is the only move. Yeah, I don't think from here though we're going to force bishop a4 check. I think Sam is right. Rook takes e1 does appear winning to me. So I'm going to lock it in. Sam said definitely winning. I like that confidence. All right, that was it. That was a 26-33 rating. Good teamwork. Okay, 48, Puzzle Rush 48. If you're just tuning in, the two red X's, I kind of went off on my own, thinking I was solving the puzzle, and I got them wrong. Yeah, we have to get at least 50. 55 is the all-time high, but we got to get 50. We're down a pawn. A pawn is close to promoting. Queen b2, says Titus. That's my first instinct. If queen takes b2, pawn takes b2, and we're going to queen. So this looks pretty good. So queen b2. I mean, queen b2 feels like it has to be the move. But sometimes when the puzzle ratings are high, that's what'll get you, is you don't look at the other options. Queen b2 with the threat of a2 looks really strong. So queen b2, I'm trying to think if I were playing white here, I'd probably go queen f4. Looking at this check. Yeah, because this bishop guards b8. So queen b2, queen f4. Trying to check us here. And then what? It also eyes queen b8 check. This could be one where this could be a puzzle where maybe we want to keep an eye on this square in another way. Like I'm looking at queen here or queen here. So one thing I would like to try is, let's say we did queen d2. Give white a random move. Because queen d2 blocks this guards the f4 square. Now a2, give white another move. Now queen d4. Oh, look at this line. Takes, takes, push, queen, queen, knight takes f3 check, and we win their queen back. Hey, Batma Ninja. He sounds like Daily Dose of Internet. I've watched the Daily Dose of Internet, but now I gotta rewatch it. Dennis says that is it. This reminds me a little of like the Searching for Bobby Fischer endgame. Hopefully that's not a spoiler like 25 years later. But there's this thing where you can like both queen. Yeah, that's gotta be it. Okay, so do we think though that it's... I mean, it could be queen b... No, okay, because queen b2 here, there was the queen here check. All right, so Dennis is saying queen d2. White could play queen back to a1 though. And then we push the... Oh, then we go queen here. Yeah. So queen here, pawn push, a2. Queen, what if queen goes here now? Oh, in that position, knight d4. I think we're going to boot the queen out, or knight takes f3 check. This pawn can't push because we take. So there's a lot of lines here, but I'm feeling queen d2 is right. Hey, Ariel. Okay, can we get a confirmation in the chat? Dennis said that is it. I feel like that's enough. That's a strong confirmation from Dennis. Oh, Sam just came back. Okay, queen b2. We were thinking queen f4, threatening this check, and the b8 square is guarded. Oh, but I just realized something, guys. Maybe we rejected that too soon. This is the forcing line. Queen b2, queen f4. What if we go a2, queen check, king b6? What if we allow that check and go king b6? There's no bishop f2 because our queen can take. There's no queen checks. Our king is actually really safe on b6. Dennis is laughing in the chat. Maybe we made it too complicated. Sam comes back away from the computer, says, what's wrong with queen b2? I think you're right, Sam. Queen b2. Okay, so the other line Titus is asking about here, knight d4. I was thinking maybe queen to b8 check there. And now if king b6, there's queen c7 or queen to d6. I feel like there's a lot of checks for white all of a sudden. Okay, now I'm thinking it's this. What do you guys think of this line? And if queen f4, we're allowing this queen check. We're just going to push, queen check, king b6. Yeah. Sam, I think you're right. Sam, you can't leave us. You leave us and then we start going down some crazy path with queen d2. Okay. Put your final answer in the chat. Queen b2, queen d2, another move, or type wait if you think we should spend more time. I think queen b2 now. This one. I'll be right back. I'm going to get more coffee. Titus says we must figure out why queen d2 does not work. There cannot be two answers. That is true. Queen d2. I thought I just had a reason why, but now I forget. Now I forget. Queen d2, bishop f5. Or sorry, bishop to e5. That might be right, Sam. Queen d2, bishop to e5. All of a sudden there's two pieces guarding this square that we have to try to dislodge. Okay, so put some final moves in the chat. I think you're right, Sam. I think bishop e5 is a nice way to say queen d2 is not forcing that pawn through compared to a move like queen b2. So Arga's saying knight e5, queen e5, pawn here. But let's say pawn here. How do we force that pawn through? Because even though right now the black queen guards all the checks from the white queen, if we move her, I think we open up our king to checks. Yeah, so I think it's queen b2 first. Dennis is saying queen b2. Okay, we need one more person to say queen b2. Do we want it? Sam says 80% sure. I'm feeling about 90% sure, Sam. I'm pretty confident in this. Okay, it was right. And this is the line we were looking at. Pawn a2, queen check, king b6. I think we're safe. This knight does a really good job defending additional checks from the queen. Throwing the bishop away doesn't seem to help. Yeah, I think this is it. Arga's confirming. I believe we take. We can't be afraid of this check, right? Well, maybe we need to stop and think, just in case. Is there any reason not to take? Queen takes. There's one check. I think we can run back this way. Well, I don't know. If the queen gets on these two squares, queen takes, queen check. Oh, you know what I think it is? I think we're going to use the knight again to help. King up here. Queen check. I want knight to b4. If queen comes back here, knight to b4. Cuts off all the checks. So here, check, here. It's probably one where it's like the puzzle's going to stop on the next move. Queen takes bishop. I think we're fine. I think this, if our king runs up, I think the knight helps. Sam agrees. Yeah, it stops there. Okay, that was 2691. Pretty respectable rating. This one, the black king has to be getting mated. Has to be mating. I mean, I'm looking sacrifices. Arca's saying this is going to a serious high level. Yes, it is. Okay, my first instinct is this. With queen g5 next. Can someone tell me a defense for black? I know I'm missing something, but that looks really straightforward. No, that can't be 2700 though. What am I missing? Queen e7 check. So Sam is saying bishop g5, king takes, queen takes pawn. That does look good. Dennis says too straightforward. So help me find a defense for black. How many legal moves are there? I only see 1, 2, 3. And on all of them, queen here is mate. Now it's possible that this is a pretty new puzzle and maybe it's sprinkling it in to help determine its rating, but I don't know if they do that on survival or not. Like maybe it's 2700, but it's only been attempted a few times. Sam says queen e7 is mate in 2. Oh, wait. Yeah, I wonder if it's one where there's just so many options, people are playing too quickly. I'm looking at queen f4 check, but then the bishop blocks and it's not quite mate. Maybe people just play too quickly. I mean, it feels like a lot of moves could be winning as long as you keep checking. You just don't want to allow the black side to start checking our king. Okay, but no one's shown a defense yet. I think we got to go for it. 2710. There we go. 2710. Nice and easy. All right, this one's got to be upper 2700s. Yeah, it just seemed too simple, Arga. You're right, Sam. Only moves. I just was trying to make sure I wasn't missing anything. That seemed too easy. Okay, we're in check. The options are king here, king here. Now this looks crazy to me because you allow this check, but we are in upper 2700 territory. Is there any reason not to play king f7? Why would we not play king f7? And maybe it's one where king f7 is correct, but then you just got to find the follow-up after queen takes rook. Let's go with king f7 for now. So king f7, queen takes rook. Yeah, Sam, I think you're right. King here, there's check. This knight could fall with check. I mean, we're down a rook, so white could give a rook back. Okay, so king f7, queen takes rook. Yeah, I think king f7 is pretty much forced. Queen takes pawn, according to Titus. Threatening queen f2 mate. And if rook here, queen h1 mate. That looks really strong. That looks really strong. I mean, we're upper 2700s now. It feels like there should be more tricks in the position. But that seems really good to me. Maybe rook takes knight could be a wrinkle. Hitting our queen. But then queen h3 check is, I think, the way out. Because then when the king runs, it's not like our queen's on h1 being attacked. So we can now play rook takes queen. I think that's it. Okay, Ariel's got a line to look at. Queen takes rook, queen takes f3, king g1. I would say bishop takes f2. Because if the king goes back to f1, we have bishop g3, followed by queen f2 and queen h2. And if the king comes out this way, yeah, I think again we have bishop g3. So it's kind of that mating idea with queen and bishop where you check with the bishop first and then move it out of the way. Dennis is saying queen h3 check. Yeah, Dennis, I think you're talking about the rook takes knight line, queen h3. All right, so confirm in the chat, do we want this? King f7, and after queen takes rook, queen f3. Put a yes in the chat if you want that, a no or a wait if you don't want it. I think that's right. All right, we got a yes. Yes to king f7. Now do we want queen f3? Dennis is saying no. Oh, do you want queen h3 here, Dennis? Is that what you were saying? Because if king here, we have mate. Yeah, this is going to be the harder part of the puzzle. If king here, check, king here, check. Oh, the rook could block. Knight c4 check. King c1. What I don't like is that king has a lot of room to run. Queen takes f3 though does cut the king off. And has the very direct threat of queen takes f2 mate. And if rook here, queen h1 mate. And I'm trying to look for ways that white could distract us, like bishop here check. We don't want to take with knight because there's queen here. But I think we could take with king. And then if queen here, check, maybe king back to h7. Because there's still this mate threat, and I don't see how white stops it. Alright. Sounds like everyone's agreeing. Oh, free queen. Okay. No reason to not take there. 2783. We got a score of 51. 55 is the high. So after getting 2 wrong in the 21 to 2200 range, 11 right in a row. Okay, here's a kind of funny quirk. You would think that these rows would be 10 each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But they're 11 each. Maybe it's based on how wide my screen is. Probably. Okay, sorry, sidetrack. In this position, we each have the same amount of material. We're down 1 pawn though. Okay, it's queen, rook, bishop, down 1 pawn. White king is exposed, but this bishop is blocked. I mean, this is very tempting. How do we make that work? Take, check, king here. It's got to be some kind of queen sack, right? No, the answer is going to be queen takes b2. Queen takes b2 with a fork. It feels too boring. Queen takes b2 with a fork. Rook d1. Feels too boring. Yeah, Ariel says first thing he saw queen takes b2. Queen takes d4 there. Pawn takes. Check. With the bishop. King here. There's just not quite enough follow-up after that sack still. I think the sack only works if the rook is on g1. Oh, okay, this is how we're going to make this work. This is how we're going to make the sack work. Get the rook on g1. Then go take, take, check, rook block, mate. That's how we're going to make it work, guys. I'm all about the queen sack, Sarga. This is how we're going to make it work. Someone figure out how do we get the rook to g1 so that we can play queen takes d4. Sam's saying we need to go simpler. Take, take, bishop a4 on the rook. Okay, but if we had do bishop takes rook, it's not with a check. So could white counter us? I mean, that does look pretty good, Sam. If the bishop's gone, we get the queen. If the bishop's gone, we get the queen. Okay, I do like your idea, Sam. Bishop a4. I mean, it's very practical, like real game moves, you know, not too flashy. Deflect the rook. I do like it. And I don't see a mate for white. Queen e7 is the only move that kind of tries to slow us down. I was also looking at queen c2, but queen c2 there's queen b3. I think you're right, Sam. Yeah, queen e7, rook g8. I think you're right. Here, bishop a4. I think this is all a decoy in the center. Like, you really want to make something work. Your eye's drawn to this diagonal, but I think you might be right. If queen e7, rook g8. If rook here, we take bish. And if rook takes here, we now want to check. You don't want to take rook takes g7, because then there's queen f8 followed by queen f6 back and forth per pet. So if rook g7, we check on the back rank, and only take this with check once the king comes out to g2. All right, we got multiple confirmations. All right, I think they're going for our line. Rook, yeah, it's the same line. If rook g8, rook g1, there's still rook takes g7 threatened. But I think we want rook g8. Okay, confirm in the chat. Rook g8? Or is there something better? What if e6? Oh, we have this idea though. Bishop takes rook, e7, bishop back to f3 check. King here, queen takes bishop. We are threatening a mate, which is coming really quick, and we still have the rook back here. Yeah, I don't think white's surviving this. Looks good. Okay, I think it's queen takes bish. Rook f8. I guess we can't take f8, but we can check here, come back here and check. I feel like we could even play h6 at the right moment. It's probably going to stop the puzzle as soon as we take the bishop. Queen takes bishop, rook f8. I think it'll just stop after this. But I believe we could check on d1, king out, check on g5, and probably play like h6. Should be good enough. Yeah, stop there. All right, 2800 time. Let's go, 2800. We are down one pawn. Oh, Sam, you're right. Queen takes a2. Yeah, look at that. Queen takes a2 would actually guard g8. Very nice. I mean, you can feel white's pressure here. That black king looks very vulnerable. The checks. Bishop b5. Rook sack, rook sack. This king should be allowed to castle. Oh, I have an idea. Pawn to b4. That black knight seems to guard everything. Sam saying bishop b5 check instinct. And Ariel says, how about king f7? Oh, I do like king f7. It's a nice way to kind of castle by hand. And then our bishop on b5 isn't hitting the e6 pawn. So bishop here. Oh, my arrows are bad. Bishop here, king f7. I do like that for black. Both knights guard this square if we are trying rook d7 check. Well, maybe king e7, just to try to prevent this stuff. So like if bishop check here, b4, there's knight back. What do you guys think of b4 first? Knight here, this pawn drops. Dennis says b4 looks good. Because we want to act quickly. I don't think we want to give black time to get the king up or castle. Knight here has the fork threat, but the king's going to move. Bishop check. The king is going to move. Okay, do we go with b4? I see a yes from Dennis. We need some others to weigh in. Ariel agrees. I mean, I'm very light on the analysis here. I'm just trusting b4 works because we're on the knight and the pawn hangs. If we play rook takes pawn, I think black is in big trouble. King here walks into a discovery. King here still traps the rook. There's bishop check, and then you're going into the discovery. We are all Dennis. We are all Patzers here. Okay, b4 was right. Of course, we're surprised by the reply. Now what? Pawn takes, bishop takes, guards this guy. That doesn't feel right. Oh, is it bishop check? Is it bishop check? If the king moves, we take the knight. If they take here, knight takes back, and we're hitting the knight and threatening the fork. So here, here, here. Knight back trying to guard. It feels like we could have more than that, though. Maybe it's knight block first. Yeah, knight block, maybe. Knight block. Yeah, Sam, exactly. Bishop a6, who plays that? So an interesting thing though, Sam, and I think we were talking about this in Discord, higher rated players are really crafty with their defensive moves. Like, it looks weird to play bishop a6, but if you're on the black side of this and you know you're about to lose, you're going to look for a move like that, even if it's not best. Yeah, you're going to look for something tricky. So bishop v5, yeah, it's crafty, but I'm wondering if, or it's cunning, bishop takes, knight a6, rook check, king f7. It doesn't feel as strong as it could have been. So I'm wondering if it's knight block. Pawn b5 is also an option, but the bishop goes back. And if that was the case, then why didn't we just take right away? But knight block, we're threatening pawn takes knight. If rook here, I like having this bishop on the board still for our attack. This knight is almost trapped. I was thinking, what if it's something crazy like... Oh, I just thought of something. This bishop is almost trapped. If pawn here, bishop here, and the king's here, there could be a check on the 7th. No, I don't think that's part of it, though. I don't think that's part of it. B takes c5, bishop takes c4, b6. My feeling there was black could get out of this with like king e7, but it does still look winning for white. I guess the bishop guards e6 for black though, which is really helpful. Okay, I see two knight b5s. That's what I'm thinking the answer is, knight b5. Rook c8 looks to be kind of a tricky move. Because if pawn takes, rook takes, oh, but then we have rook d8 check. Yeah, rook d8 check. Okay, let's do knight b5. There it is. So pawn takes, rook takes. It's threatening rook takes bishop, which hits this bishop and the knight hangs. Oh, is knight c7 check a move? Is knight c7 check something? Sam, that line is interesting. That looked pretty good still. Pushing the c-pawn. Dennis says watch for the c-file pin. I agree. Knight takes a7 kind of jumps out at me. I really don't like that rook pinning our bishop. Because then it's like if this falls, everything else is attacked. But knight takes here hits the rook. If rook up, then we have rook check. I want to eliminate this rook. If bishop takes bishop, we take the rook and their knight is still hanging. And we have rook d8 check, which would win this rook. Excuse me. Knight here. Rook here, rook check here. Bishop takes. Okay, yeah, that might be more direct. So let's say knight here, king moves. Then what? Knight here, king moves. Because even though this is double attacked, everything is on the c file. So when their knight takes back, the other piece will be pinned. And after the king moves, this knight and bishop are being attacked. Okay, I'm still thinking knight takes a7. What do you guys think? Knight takes a7? I don't see a good reply for black. I was looking at like, can black play here? We take rook. They take rook, we take with check, and then we win the bishop in the end. B takes c5, Arga. I think rook takes c5. And if rook check, king moves. And if we take the rook, then takes the bishop with check. This bishop and this knight are both attacked. Oh, castles? Wow. I forgot about castling. So we take, the f8 rook takes. Okay, maybe you're right, Arga. So pawn takes, rook takes, check here, check. If they take the rook, we take that with check. Pawn takes, rook takes, check here, knight check, guards this. King here. Take the rook. And if bishop takes bishop, we don't have to take back. We can move our king. So in the end, we're up a rook there. Oh, I think you're right, Arga. Now I'm thinking it's this. Pawn takes is looking pretty good. Takes here, we take with check. We're up a piece. Yeah, Sam, that castling idea I missed. I feel like knight takes a7 is refuted by castling. Okay, let me know. Put in the chat. B takes c5. Knight takes a7. Or wait. Or another move. What do you think? Dennis says go for it. Go for which move, Dennis? Which move? Dennis, you want pawn takes knight? Okay, we have Titus with knight takes a7. Knight takes a7 castle. And then we take the rook. Their rook takes back. Sam doesn't see it. Dennis says b takes c. I'm now thinking b takes c. So this is a clean knight. If they castle, we have bishop takes e6 check. So after we take, I feel like they have to play rook takes. But then after rook d8 check, so take, rook d8 check, I think either king move runs into either bishop d6 check, if king here, or if king here, knight d6 check. Okay, I'm going to lock it in. Dennis is the one who confirmed it, so remember this. If it's wrong, it's half on me, half on Dennis. B takes c5. Oh, it was right. And Arga, you get the credit too for bringing us back to the simple b takes c5. Yes, on Arga too, right? Okay, we're down the exchange. We have a pawn for it. First thing I notice is we can take this pawn, and if they take, we fork. This is going to be upper 2800s. But the other thing that looks good is just rush this b pawn up the board. Yeah, I like these endgames too. Or are you saying you like the simple ideas like last position? I love the endgame puzzles. So I just did a video recently on a rook against 2 pawns. And even though this is really tempting, it does encourage the king to move in. So like let's say it takes, maybe white trades this off first, brings the king in. If the king gets close to these pawns, I don't think we're winning. But b5 straight away, we might be winning. We're not taking the free pawn, which could be part of why this is a 2800 puzzle. So let's say b5, they take, we take. I mean, our king blocks the f pawn. I don't know what their rook does that's useful, but if takes, takes. King here, push. King here, push. And we're coming really quick. I'm thinking we're winning if we throw that pawn up the board. Yeah, Sam, I agree. If we do knight takes f4, they're going to move the king. Well, probably after trading. And then we're going to have to move the knight back to guard this pawn, which buys the king more time. Well, there is the fork there. But maybe they can sack the exchange. It's a little bit complicated. Okay, everyone's saying b5. Yes. Now, do we want b4 straight away? I think so. Is there any reason not to play b4? I'm looking at this. Is it possible we could set up some sort of knight to b4 check? Is there any reason to push the... So like look at this line. Here, here, here. Could white somehow sack and bring their king over? No, I don't think so, because our king can easily stop these pawns. So here, 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 king d3. Yeah, it's just getting too fancy, I think. There is knight b4 check, yeah. King takes c3 though. And if knight takes rook, king takes. Could be enough to win. But I guess white also didn't have to go for this route. They could go this way. Maybe that's better. Yeah, avoid the fork. I mean, this feels too simple again for the rating, but I feel like it's b4. King here, b3. Rook moves somewhere. And then we just go like b2 and c2. Okay, Dennis already said b4 in the chat. Can we get another confirmation, b4, or should we wait, or is there another move? I think it's b4. Okay, we got Sam b4. Now it's got to be take back. Right? So now okay, this is interesting. b3. What's their idea? I mean, we got to be winning with b3, I think. King here. We could take, and our knight's going to guard that pawn forever. Our king will go win all their pawns. Yeah, let's go b3. Okay, 2894 rating, 54 score. Knight f4, king e3. Okay, we're playing white. Black is about to queen. I feel like I've seen this puzzle. It's a stalemate puzzle, somehow. How do we stop that pawn from queening? Oh, the reason I said it was stalemate, because at first I thought this here, take, was a stalemate. I don't know if that'll be part of the answer or not. But if we go here, they can take. Okay, so this queens with check. We could insert g3. King moves. Well, there we get the knight check. So g3. Oh, king here, we got the knight check. I feel like white or black doesn't want to allow that knight check, because our knight's about to come stop this pawn. If it gets another check, it's coming back. So g3, let's say king here. Rook check. Trying to get to this square. King here. Knight check, and the rooks come here. Oh, I think it's g3. So if king here, knight check, king here, then I wanted to do like rook back somewhere. If queen, then rook check, winning the queen. So here, knight check, king here, rook here, king here, knight check, king here, knight here stops the pawn. Okay, I haven't found a defense yet for black. Here, come back right away. Coming here. Here. This check. Okay, I think that's it. G3. Let me know what you think. G3, wait, or a different move. I kind of just ran with that one on my own, but I'm pretty confident in G3. The key idea is blocking this check on our king. All right, Dennis says G3. Now, what did I want here again? Rook check. So the options are king here. And that one feels straightforward because we have knight check and our rook comes here next no matter what. So the other move is king back here. And at this point, I thought we could move the rook backwards. So the problem for black is, let's say they go king here after our rook goes backwards. We could still go here, and if king here, we could actually sacrifice our rook for this pawn. And we're going to have king, pawn, and knight against pawn. And there's no way black can force this pawn trade that I can see. Our knight's ready to come help out. So I think it's rook check. Thanks, Ariel. Thanks for joining. Dennis agrees. Oh, I didn't see this though, Dennis. If rook here, king back. Do we need to somehow fork their king and queen? Like sack the rook and then fork? Now rook d8 works, but Arga, I think king e7. I have a new idea. Could it be knight here? Queen, check. No, they'll just take. Okay, rook d8, king here. And then what? We could check them. Well, actually, even king f8. Arga's saying we can come back. So So here, here. But where do we come back to, Arga? Because they're going to queen. Okay, so let's say rook d4 and then they queen. And then what? Knight c4 though, I think they queen. Sam. I think I got it. So I was talking about how do we get the king in a forkable distance to the queen. So when they queen, we want our knight to be checking here and their king here. That's what we want. Wait, maybe it doesn't work. Oh, sorry, I was thinking about this backwards. Okay, so king here. Sorry, rook here, king here. The forking square for this king is going to be knight to here, and we need their queen to be here. We need to walk them into the fork. So it's going to be rook here. King has to come back. Now we need the queen here. So we go rook to d3. They make a queen. Rook to e3 check. They take. Knight to d5, checking the king and winning the queen. That's crazy. That was good. I like that puzzle. Okay, 55. This ties the all-time high. Highest I've gotten is 55. I have not, well, I don't really remember like a specific puzzle similar to that, but I just had that idea. Hey, Tekao. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Tekao 8. I've seen that type of puzzle before where you try to, or that type of idea where you walk a king into a fork. So I was trying to figure out if we could make that work. But I kept thinking that we had to bring the king towards the pawn and not the... Oh, it's Retro from Discord. That's right, I should have known that. Good to see you, Retro. So we're on score of 55. This is tied with the all-time high. We've been going for 2 hours, 46 minutes. If we can get one more right, that's the new record. Material is even on this one. The white king is very exposed, though. The first thing I want to do is rook to e2 and try to win the queen for the rook. But I feel like our position is just really good. Like we could almost just play h5. Trying to take, and then deflect. Whoops. So h5 with that threat of take, deflect the king from the queen. If king here, check. They take, we win the queen. I might have seen this puzzle before. f5 probably. Yeah, rook e2 does threaten rook e3, Sam. So probably if rook e2, I think f5 is going to be the reply again. Attacking our queen. Retro says, I just woke up, you're still going. So rook e2, f5. It's pretty direct. f5. If we take, queen could take, forcing a queen trade and kind of solving all of white's problems. And if we try to keep the queen on this file, take here, check. King takes. I don't think our king should be safe here. Check. Thanks, Andy. If you're taking off, have a good day. Dennis is saying back to h5. Okay, h5, f5. If we take, queen takes. Can't take with pawn because there's mate. Queen e3 check. They have to block. I do like that that's forced. But where's the follow-up? No, it's not above your pay grades. It just means you just gotta do your best. These are all really tough. Oh, there's a bunch of dog barking out back. It's distracting Memphis. h5 may be too obvious. Yeah, possibly. And the other thing I was looking at is queen e1. But there's still f5. Queen e1, f5. I don't see enough there. One thing I realized is this rook is close to trapped. Queen c8, it has a couple moves, I guess. I don't know if a rook trap would be involved with this answer. Like, I mean, it's possible h5 is the obvious move. Rook e2 is also kind of an obvious move. But maybe it's the next move that we gotta find. Like h5, f5, and then what? Because I don't see anything real straightforward there. Oh, here's an idea. Hey Jake, good to see you. Queen e1, f5, rook g2. Rook g2. What's the idea, Retro? Oh, rook f2. Okay, let's say g takes, or f takes g. King takes. Queen here, check. Could move the king over. Queen d6 check. Queen d3 threatening mate. Arga, are you saying queen d6? This is the new move that I had in mind, queen d6. When you say queen d3, Arga, are you talking about queen d6 for us? So here are the benefits of queen d6. If this pawn moves, we have mate. And I want to play queen here check, threatening mate. But it feels slow at the same time, like maybe queen g3 could be played. Oh, but maybe then we have rook here. Pawn push, rook here. Winning the queen. Oh. Arga is saying queen d6. Okay. You might be onto something here, Arga. I kind of like this idea. It's almost like a zugzwang for white. Or not really a zugzwang, but like, I don't see a useful move for white. Maybe queen c3. Threatening the mate. Yeah, that could be a good try. Queen d6, queen c3. That's a good try. This puzzle's going to be upper 2900s, I think. Well, the last one was 2953. This could be a 3000 puzzle. My gut reaction is still h5. Queen d6, queen c3, I'm not a big fan of. Okay, Sam is saying maybe a passed pawn's enough, Sam. Rook e2, f5, rook e3. Oh, there's also pawn takes queen, Sam. I think there's pawn takes queen. What about rook here, f5, queen here? Threatening our mate on h2 again. If pawn takes... I wanted to figure out if we could somehow step onto the back rank. Because there's no rook b8, but there is queen here check. King over and then mate. Can we somehow make that work? Oh, queen e5 after f5. Okay, yeah, so here, here, here. Take check. King g8. But I think in that position, Sam, I think there's queen f7 check. And then queen f8 mate. So I think we're in trouble there. It's alright, Sam. I kind of want to go back to h5. Yeah, f5 is really strong. Okay, Dennis is offering g5 though. We could look at g5 first. So the first thing I want to try for white is queen d3 check. Yeah, I think queen d3 check, Dennis. Process of elimination. g5, queen d3 check, I'm not sure what we do. Because the g-pawn is pinned, and I don't want to walk onto the back rank. Because there's at least perpetual there. f5 might also be good after g5. No, probably queen d3. I don't know if white wants to cut that off. Okay, let's go back to h5. h5, f5. H takes g, queen takes g. Is it possible that it's queen takes pawn there? Queen takes, pawn takes. We're up a pawn with the passed pawn. It's kind of like what Sam was going for on the other line. Just go for the passed pawn. I mean, we're in a position right now where we're not up anything. I guess they could take with king. Yeah, they could take with king. So queen d6 we rejected due to queen c3. Okay. How about queen f6? Queen f6, I want queen b2. Threatening the mate. If f5, I think we could get away with g5 there, and the f pawn is helping guard the diagonal. Dennis is saying correct. Dennis, are you saying correct to queen f6? Queen f6 is right now my top option. I don't think this rook can really come back and help after queen b2. And if the pawn pushes, I think we can like check and push this up, kind of lock things up maybe. h5, f5, queen d6. I think f takes g there, Sam. If queen takes, here's queen f. Maybe. Sorry, h5, f5, queen d6. Takes here. Queen takes. Pawn takes pawn. I think white's okay there, because they have some mating and perpetual threats. F takes g, king h8. Okay, here, here, queen d6, f takes g. Oh, queen guards both of these squares. Okay. Maybe you're onto something, Sam. So queen f6 I did like, but this is more direct if it works. Because we're threatening something every move. Here, king h8. Okay, what if, Sam, what if queen g3? Offering the queen trade, and now we have this back rank mate to think about. Queen g3, h takes g4, king takes. Oh, we could take g6 then with the queen, huh? Then we got their king on the run with our rook ready to help out. That does look pretty good. Those king on the run scenarios are going to be a problem for white if it's wide open like that. Okay, Sam, I think you might be right. h5, f5, queen d6. Threatening the immediate mate. Pushing doesn't help. Taking doesn't help because we do queen check followed by rook g2 check. So it's all very direct. Pawn takes pawn, and king hides on h8. So I kept thinking king g8, but there's queen f7 check there, and but king hides on h8, and our queen guards the important squares. That's really nice, Sam. I think that's it. So Dennis, I think it's h5, f5, queen d6. Threatening rook or queen to h2 mate. If f takes g, we tuck the king back on h8. Still threatening our mate. And I don't think white has time to get out of it. So then we were discussing, well, what if queen g3? And Sam said h takes g with check. The rook cuts off the white king. If queen takes, we get the mate. So king has to take. But now we got this king wide open with our rook ready to help out. And we could even take this g6 pawn with check. So there we get the option. Take g6 with check, and we should never be worse there. We're probably winning. Or we could keep the checks going in other ways, like try to check on the diagonal. But I think queen takes g6 would be the move there. Is queen g3 the only move, though? Here, here, here. Is queen g3 the only move? Queen h1 guards h2, but we have queen d3. I don't think the pawn pushes help, because let's say g5. Like, we're not getting mated, so g5. I think we could go rook check. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, our pawn guard's here, so yeah, rook check, that's mate. Yeah, that's mate. Okay, this is looking good. I'm feeling confident. We've spent a lot of time on this puzzle. I'm feeling pretty confident. h5, f5, queen d6, and I think the key move is this king h8. Instead of queen g3, does white have gx h5? Okay, let's look at that quick. So here, 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 take. So I'm thinking there, we have queen h2 check, king runs out to g4, rook g2 check. There's no moves for the king, so they got to sack their queen, and we're getting it back with check. Okay, well, I'm going to go for it. Okay, there's f5. Okay, here's your line, Sam. Now, I think it's... Oh, there's a mate. Okay, we do have to be careful with the mate. I think that's what you meant, Sam, wasn't it? Queen check, king here. Rook check was what I wanted. I forgot the king runs here, though. Oh, is that it? Rook. Is this it? Okay, check here. Check here. Rook f2. If rook down, we come back and take. And if queen takes our rook, we go queen f8, picking up their queen. Okay, Argus saying rook h2. Rook h2 here. Here. Back. I think it's this. What a weird puzzle. I mean, our king is trapped on the back rank. It could be this. Rook check here. Queen here, check. They could take our rook, but then we do have queen f8 check in the end, winning their rook back. So the line is check here, check here, and those are both, that's all forced. Now rook here, pinning the queen to the king, and if they check, our queen takes, they take our rook, but they have king here and queen here. So now we go queen check, the king has to move, and then we win their queen. Now they don't have to play rook b8. Here, here. Oh, I'm sorry. Here, 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 here. They don't have to play rook b8. But our queen guards b8, and we're going to take their queen with check. So I think that's the answer, and what's going to happen is our king will, if it's like queen versus rook only, and we have this weird mate threat, we can actually probably run our king out. In 2 moves, our king is safe, and they can't prevent it. Like if they play here to try to prevent our king from running, now there's no mate threat. Yeah, I think it's queen h2. What happened? How did this happen? On number 55. And it stops there. It stops after rook h2. Oh, that's a 3,000 rated puzzle, and it stops after rook h2. Okay, queen h2 is only a minus 1.8. How's it going to stop after this? Okay, queen d4 check is minus 7. Queen e6 check is minus 4. King g5 and king f5 are both getting mated in 9 moves or 10 moves. So if here... It's kind of long, but yeah, it's going to the back rank. Everything's happening with check. Mate next move. And if here we get this scenario I was talking about, we can run our king out. So there's no mate, and after something like this, we have some good queen checks. We can go here. And I think we could safely run our king out. Stockfish is showing more queen checks, but if we needed to, we could run our king out. Oh man. So let's see what was so wrong with this. Here, rook check, king f5, rook f2, queen takes, king e6. So their king gets very active. It's hard for our king to escape, I guess. It's on depth 20. How can I make it go deeper? Let's go unlimited. What if our answer is also right? I feel like this should be winning. But maybe it's harder than I thought with their king so active. Queen f8 is the top move, but it's only a minus 1.4. King d7. And I guess if their king gets here, then this is threatening to win our queen. King g8. Oh, rook takes a7 is even a move. c5 is a move. Alright, yeah, it's getting a little weird. Thanks for watching, Dennis. It's getting weird. All right. Retro, thanks for watching. 55, that was a good job, everyone. Appreciate your help. Over 3 hours. 3 hours and 17 minutes to tie our score at 55 and to get it wrong on the very last move. And they only had one move left. Like there wasn't any more continuation. We just had to play rook takes or rook h2. Oh, Andy's saying, can you check the other two quickly? Yes. Good idea. Okay. So in this one, what did we think it was? Bishop h6. It's highlighting the queen. Oh, it was queen d8. Oh, and then takes here. Nice. All right, then what was this one? We made it too complicated with bishop h. Well, I guess it's neither of them were a check, so we didn't really make it more complicated. All right, this is one where I just went rogue and did some answer. Was it queen takes g5? Oh yeah, that's right. This is the one where the king was running. This was the one where the king was running. And what did we do here? Queen here. And then I think we took and their knight blocked. Is that right? Yeah. So now there's a few different options. And I believe it was Sam that said queen here guards the bishop. C5 check is also interesting. Oh, I bet it's C5 check. C5 check if their bishop takes, then queen f6 is mate. Oh, Sam said c5. Okay, sorry, Sam. Yeah, c5. King takes. We take the knight with check. Bishop takes, queen f6 mate. And if king here... Well, I don't know. King there. Wait, what did I play in the game? Queen f6 check? Maybe rook f6. And then take the knight with check. Yeah, I bet it's rook f6. But it's rook f6. Yeah, now it's all falling apart. Okay. I think there was another one we wanted to check, but I don't remember which. I'm getting tired. So I think we'll wrap up there. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll have to do more of these live streams, and there's something new on our YouTube channel now. Like I can do community posts. It just got added like right before this stream. So I'll announce the future live streams on Discord, on Twitter, but also now on YouTube we can do like a community post when a live stream is coming up. So it'll just be another way to get the word out. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. I appreciate you guys watching. Yeah, thanks guys. All right, I'll talk to you all later. Have a good rest of your Sunday. Bye.